This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
And here we are with you for another fresh week of Meltdown Live content. I am Tim Melton. Thank you for joining us here live in the Culver studio as we're all still recuperating from a number of things in our lives. We'll talk about that here shortly, but one of those things were the mystery boxes that we unveiled last week because we had the Hunter Bussey mystery box, which was very nice and thoughtful, but the problem is it was very EG-centric, and EG was on assignment, not able to be here for that, so that was a big misfire. And then we had the Second and Charles box, which I think goes down as maybe the worst box in the history of the channel.
So bad.
It was really awful. Almost nothing about it that was salvageable, and I'm really disappointed with Second and Charles putting out the product that they put out. Literally one of them was a black case with Ghostbusters written in two different words on the box with a just beat up, burnt copy of it. I don't even know which Ghostbusters it is. I don't know if it's the all-female Ghostbusters or if it's the original Ghostbusters. I have no idea. They're both titled the same thing.
What about the animated series?
Could have been, but it was a nightmare, and I've got to reevaluate our mystery box situation here because I cannot continue to give my hard-earned dollars to Second and Charles if they're going to put out what is a lot of times counterfeit product in their mystery boxes.
Their quality control has lost all, respect for me.
Yeah.
I did see TikTok about San Antonio, Florida this weekend.
Really?
I did.
It's a small world.
Apparently it's beautiful.
Oh.
And I was
don't
thinking,
believe it.
I don't either. They have this resort there. That's this pool, if you will. That is like 300 acres, and it's a pool.
Well, maybe that pool overflowed and ended up ruining all the DVD boxes that we got. But I'm going to have to find a route because I love the mystery box segment, but we've got to find a different supplier.
Agreed.
And so we'll work on that. So that was depressing. I do want to warn you, today will be the most depressing episode of The Meltdown probably ever.
I'm really intrigued about this, Tim.
Well, I don't know if you're going to be happy by the end of this thing because it's a super sad, depressing edition of the show that we're about to do. So I just want to warn you that if you don't want to be sad the rest of your day, maybe, this is the first time I've ever done this, maybe just go ahead and just show back up Tuesday. I'm just telling you right now, it's going to get sad.
Don't do that.
It's going to get a little sad, and I'm just telling everybody here.
I gotta lock in for this.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. But until then, we're going to try to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to start off with talking about EG's weekend. I didn't properly introduce the cast of characters here, which includes Emily Grace McWhorter.
Full name. Wow.
Well, I've called you EG enough to where I feel like I have to say something different to make it seem like an introduction.
Noted.
So that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
We said the full name in the song from last week.
We did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We did. I occasionally I'll throw it in there. But EG, you accomplished something that every great poker player of all time eventually has to accomplish. And that is playing in a casino setting for the very first time.
Yes.
We've talked about this. We've been talking about you've got your end of the month Biloxi trip that you're preparing for. We've been talking about different strategies. We had a game plan going in. We had to alter that game plan.
In the moment, too.
In the moment. And I'm on my beach vacation on the help hotline here, the poker help hotline. And every time it was so sweet because EG would be like, can I call? Because she knows that I'm at the beach with my family. But it was like perfect timing because there were certain activities going on to where I could make a call and give some helpful advice. But you followed almost all the advice, I think.
Yes.
You followed it all.
To a T.
And I'm going to go ahead and jump to the end first because that's the fun part. You walked away profitable.
Yes.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But it was a little dicey there because you ended up in a game that we weren't emotionally prepared to jump into.
Not at all.
But you made it happen. Talk a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, so I had a wedding in Biloxi. So this was not a casino trip. It was a bonus for what the weekend was really for. And I thought, what better way to spend it than getting some poker time in? And I've been playing now for a year and a half. And I thought that this would be a great kind of entry. It's not Vegas, but still a nice casino at the Beau Rivage. And so we had looked into tournaments, and we had all kind of conclusively decided, you, Saber, my dad, everyone had said, okay, you are a tournament player, get in a tournament, you'll have some time before the wedding, but cash just isn't really for you. Well, long story short, I get to the casino, and the way things shook out, the entry fee was double what we had anticipated. And it seemed as though it had changed day of because there were a few other players that also had a similar issue of not wanting to commit to that amount of money. And so after a few calls, we decided, okay, play cash game. And the only cash game available was a 3-1-1-3. And I was told by not only people at the casino, Lenny, looking at you, also you, and my dad and Saber, that those types of cash games are the craziest.
They can get crazy,
They can get crazy.
For the casual players,
For the casual players, it's not a casual, nothing is casual about it, you could say. But that was all I could do. And so I sit down at the table, and I was on a wait list, and my friend Lenny, he comes back into the story. He'd initially asked me if I was playing tournament or cash. When I said cash, he was like, oh gosh, praying for you. And so I'm sitting, and I'm probably about 20 minutes into this. I played for approximately 61 minutes. So by the time I had my chips and I was sitting down to walking out with the cash in my hand, it was 61 minutes. So about 20 minutes in, and Lenny comes behind me in his walker, and he leans down and he goes, I got to think of how he said this. He said, if you raise and you are re-raised and you fold, you're dog meat with this group. And then shuffled away.
Yeah, slowly.
Slowly.
The people who go up in them hills don't come back down. And then shuffle.
And I could hear the clinking of his walker as he made his way back to his table. But it was a great experience. I felt like I was, respected at the table, which I was not expecting, you could say. And I walked away with an $80 profit, and I will take that 8 ways to Sunday. And me and Mikey had a very successful trip at the casino, which probably is not the best thing at all. He hit all of his bets and parlayed them, and that hit. So it's quite the weekend.
You guys are planning your next trip.
Literally.
You have a poker tournament you're playing in tonight, I know, because I'm playing in it as well.
Woo!
We have season 14 of the PTPC that is kicking off tonight. I cannot believe this thing has gone for 14 seasons. Ever since 2019, when the club was launched, we had the goal in mind to create a place that was unique and had a lot of fellowship, and also we threw around some cards. And now you're a full-blown addict.
I am.
You are, and you got it bad. And tonight is a chance for you to become the season points leader because it's game 1, and Dunaway's not going to sleep. Dunaway is not going to sneak up on anybody this season, for sure.
People know what he's capable of. But what was so fun, and then we can move on from the poker discussion if we need to, but as I'm sitting in the casino, I'm obviously having these moments of, one, I'm doing something that's hard, it's uncomfortable, but a little about me, I do like kind of being in those situations.
Yeah.
A little bit. But what I was thinking about was, one, I'm so excited for Monday to get to tell all of our poker club what I accomplished. But 2, I was so thankful that I had this outlet for the last year and a half, because without our club, I would not be sitting in that seat.
Definitely not, which once again is why I feel like I have blood on my hands.
No, it's all good things.
That's great. So far, so good. We're going to keep it up. The main thing is keep challenging yourself at the appropriate pace, and I think you will have success in this game. I've said that from the get, and you've believed, and we just got to get you playing King 9 more. So that's that. Okay, we'll have a full poker update tomorrow, so more poker talk then. Tyler, they dropped today the trailer for Black Phone 2. And I watched Black Phone 1 a couple years back, and I'm like, well, that was a nice little one-off horror movie. I don't see how they're going to do a second one of those.
Yeah.
And now we've seen they're definitely doing a second one. The footage looks pretty chilling, literally. And I think it's going to work. I think it's like going to be a fun time to go to this movie in October. And we've got our full trailer reaction, watching it for the very first time, recording it, throwing it up there. So if you haven't seen the trailer, that's a great way to watch it. But this is a movie that I think we're both buying up a little bit of stock in now.
Definitely. I think we both thought that the first Black Phone was very interesting and had strong performance from Ethan Hawke. There was some strong character design, in particular with that grabber mask.
Oh my gosh.
And I think doing a sequel just allows you to really take on some of the themes of loss and of trauma that people like the grabber cause in real life. And I think that the situation around and conversation around trafficking and kidnapping has only intensified since the release of the first movie. So I do think that this one will hit as well.
I think it will. Check out our reaction. It's up there on the channel after the episode today, and you'll see exactly what we thought of Black Phone 2 with this official trailer that dropped. I didn't know it was going to be dropping today, but it was a nice little welcome surprise. We've gotten some really good trailers lately, and this is one of them. Let's talk about the box office and where things currently stand here in cinema in 2025, as we have obviously past Memorial Day weekend. We are now here with a lot of holdovers dominating the charts. Yet again, Lilo and Stitch dropping just 56.9% and ending up in the number one spot yet again, 2 weeks in a row now, making $63 million. This is a movie that cost a fourth of what the second place movie cost to produce, which is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And
have you sorry to interrupt,
no, you're good.
Have you gotten a chance to see Lilo and Stitch yet? I know you were planning on it.
We'll talk about it in just a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But Lilo and Stitch, worldwide, I mean, Tyler called it a long time ago. This thing's going to be joining the $1 billion club. It's definitely on the pace to do that. I knew it was going to make a ton of money. I didn't know if it was going to clear $1 billion, and I look like I'm going to be on the wrong side of that historical prediction. But we both thought it was going to be huge, but you went the extra step of saying it was going to join the $1 billion club. And I think it will be a movie that will be a part of that very exclusive club, because people are just lining up left and right to see this thing.
Yeah, I thought just all the signs were there for this to be an ultra smash hit beyond what we thought.
Yeah.
It's the right time of year. You've got kids out of school, and then particularly with Memorial Day weekend, with that long weekend, a lot of parents getting that day off to where you can take one of those days at the movies. And then also take into account that this is 23 years after the original. So a lot of kids who grew up with the original now have kids of their own to take them to. And I feel really old just saying that right now.
The real question was going to be, it wasn't like it had all the parameters for it's going to make a ton of money. The thing that I was not aware of is it going to be any good? Like, that was the thing that was holding me back from going, this is going to be $1 billion movie. Because I knew it was going to crush from the pure marketing, advertising standpoint. But would it be a quality enough product to get enough people to care about it long term? Seems like that's the way it's going. We'll talk a little bit more about Lilo and Stitch here in a moment. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning ending up there with a very similar drop, less than 60%, $27.5 million here. Have you seen the movie yet, E.G.? Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
My last week got crazy, but I'm going to the beach next week, and it's already been the family group message that might actually wait. My parents saw it and my brother saw it. They didn't like it, so we might be seeing Lilo and Stitch instead.
What did they say? They didn't. Did
Too
they?
long.
Yeah, it's fair. That's the one real knock on it. It's a long experience.
Mikey and his family saw it. They liked it, but the consensus was Tom Cruise put every single stunt possible he's ever wanted to do in his entire life into one movie.
It's a long movie.
Yeah.
I mean, from the time if you show up on time to the movies, which is already a little bit of a rookie mistake because they show so many advertisements beforehand. But if you show up on time, you're in that seat for 3.5 hours. Easy.
That's a long time. That's a lot. That's a
from
time
start to
commitment.
finish.
You got 20 to 25 minutes of pre-show, and then I believe the official run time is 2 hours 50.
Yeah.
For Mission Impossible.
Movie.
Yeah, it's a long experience. However, there are quality bits in there that really are good. It's just a question of, are you willing to commit half of a day to it?
When does F1 come out?
F1 comes out in June, so it would be June 27th.
There's early access screenings as well. I'll get with y'all about that after the show, and maybe we can get a Meltdown at the movies.
That one I'm most excited for. That one is like trumping Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible.
Get me a runtime on F1.
A runtime?
Give me a runtime on F1.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
I want to know what the runtime is on that.
Me too.
I'm going to talk about another movie. It opened up this weekend, Karate Kid Legends. Tyler, you got a chance to see this one?
2 hours, 35 minutes.
Yeah,
for
it's gonna be another long experience.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a 3-hour experience sitting from start to finish. However, it's I think there's gonna be enough adrenaline in there to maybe where it flies by.
So I keep interrupting you. How long is Top Gun Maverick?
I feel like that was probably about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it sounds right. I think it was a little. I'm gonna say it's gonna be less than what F1 was. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say it was about 2:20.
Okay.
Be my guess.
2:11.
Oh.
Boom.
So about 20 minutes longer than that.
There you go. I was 9 minutes off. Yeah. That's not bad.
Pretty good.
Okay, Karate Kid Legends. I have had this movie recommended to me. People who have seen it, which is not a huge amount of people, because it ended up in the third spot there, making $21 million. But the people who have seen it seem to really like it. Not enough people, I don't think, went to go see it opening weekend, but it still had a pretty fair result there at the number 3 spot. Tyler, what is the secret sauce to where Karate Kid Legends has become sort of a fan-fueled film?
I mean, there's just enough in there from the older movies and enough endearing, I wouldn't say heartwarming, but feel-good, nostalgic moments that just really just taps that vein right where you want it to.
Good all-ages family movie?
Absolutely. My criticisms towards this are mainly with editing and pacing. I feel like you fly through the traditional story beats of the regular old Karate Kid story a little too quickly for my liking, and felt like I blinked and we were already at the final tournament, and I didn't really feel like I got to know the main character.
The movie is about 90 minutes.
It flies by.
It's a really breezy. It is the opposite. Like, you could see Karate Kid Legends twice in the amount of time it takes to see Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Yes. Jackie Chan still as just charming as ever on screen. Love seeing him just exist on screen. Ralph Macchio didn't really add much to the movie in my opinion, but it was still nice to see him. And I think it's just a fun movie. It's not necessarily great, but I had a good time with it. And when I walked out at the end, there were some teenagers who had just caught the movie practicing their karate moves in the hall.
Gosh.
So I got to give the movie like an extra star just for that.
Watch out! Try not to get chopped when you're walking out of the movie. So that's good stuff there. Karate
Somebody
Kid
almost
Legends.
got me with a crane kick.
That would have been bad. Sweep the leg. I think it would have been I think it's a movie that, based on word of mouth, is going to hold pretty well because people are recommending it. Mm-hmm. And I've had people reach out to me and they're like, you need to see this. It's really good. And it sounds like a nice breezy matinee sort of movie.
Absolutely. This would be the kind of movie where you, like, say in your case, one day this week when you leave here, there's a 3:10 showing of Karate Kid. I'll go catch it real quick.
I may do a double feature on Thursday ahead of Ballerina because there's only nighttime showings for that.
True.
To where I may end up doing that thing where I catch a movie like this before Ballerina because I can work it in the window because it's so short. So that may end up happening. Final Destination Bloodlines in the number 4 spot. This movie holding extremely well, and that is because it is quality. And you want to talk about the word of mouth campaign. We were dreading seeing this movie. We started to hear it's really good. We were still hesitant of not wanting to fall into a trap. And when we saw it, we were like, man, this thing is quality. It is one of my favorite movies of the year. I am shocked to say that. Did not want this movie. Did not have any demand for this movie. And it is an exceptionally good time if you like horror movies. I would not recommend this to someone like EG.
Yeah.
But if you're on the fence and you're like, look, we want to have something that's a really good, fun adult time, Final Destination Bloodlines, I just feel like is the best type of crowd participation movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There were so many moments during that movie where the entire crowd was laughing at, a couple characters. It's not like they showed something scary and everybody laughed, or everybody was going, ooh, at that, in the hospital.
I'm driving down to the beach and I'm behind a
log.
It wasn't logs. It was pipes.
Yikes.
Oh.
But it had
same feeling.
It had that same exact feeling, and all I could think about was, man, Final Destination Bloodlines was really good. Like, I was like, I wasn't tense on the ride. I was like, man, that movie was so good. So, surprise movie of the year for me so far is Final Destination Bloodlines. Bring Her Back at the number 5 spot. This is another movie that Tyler has been just beating the drum on and championing long before anybody even knew this thing existed. I have had people reach out to me this weekend going, you must see this. You love horror movies. You've got to go see this one. It's the best horror movie of the year. I'm like, whoa. Hold on. I saw Sinners already. They're like, no, you've got to see this movie. So I am not hesitating. When I get told by multiple people I trust, including Tyler, you've got to see this movie. Tyler was telling me this way before my beach trip of like, you've got to see this movie. I've got my ticket booked. I'm going to see it today, and I will give you my full report of whether it works for me. But you've got some information about Bring Her Back.
Yes, I do. So, the directors of Bring Her Back, Danny and Michael Filippo, have gotten a little creative with the marketing, the promotion of this movie. There is an ARG along with this game, and if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's an alternate reality game. Think of an online scavenger hunt. that might be mixed in with real life. So in this case, you go to the movie, and there's one shot at the beginning where a Russian URL is on the screen briefly. If you
Weird.
go to this website, it takes you to this almost dark web marketplace looking page. And this website is called blackangeltapes.net. It's what the Russian in the movie translates to. And it's apparently a marketplace for cursed items. One of which includes a demonic embalmed hand.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Talk to me.
Yep. So, I, being the curious little cat that I am,
Always searching for secrets.
always looking for secrets. I find them in the strangest of places. I filled out an offer for this because, why not? Maybe they'll send me an email saying I got some free merch. Maybe we get the actual hand from Talk to Me. Or maybe I get another step and I get completely stuck in the puzzle. But we'll see. I've been playing around with this website.
That's neat.
All night last night. I found some admin pages and stuff like that. It's very sort of spooky dark web theme where you have these just strange videos being circulated. And if you go through the FAQ and the product info, it's very much we are serious about selling this, so don't come by without any real offers. We're not taking any fake offers here. Serious buyers only. 30 Bitcoin minimum.
Oh, that's a lot of Bitcoin.
So I sent an offer for 666 Bitcoin to see if that would do anything.
Oh, wow.
In relation to the movie.
Oh, wow.
So we'll see what happens.
Just really lost EG there.
Yeah, EG's face just the
Wait,
life.
so time out. This is a promotional web? I'm confused.
Yes, this is tied
It's
into.
a fun little.
Yes, it's a fun little scavenger hunt. There might be a giveaway attached to
I
it.
see. Okay.
You might find some secrets, but I've been poking around and perusing.
I knew a kid that used to access the dark web during study hall. He is a owner of a very profitable tech company now. I
Okay.
actually turned down a few dates with him.
This is the least surprising story of all
I'm
time.
gonna be real. This is probably a good move to turn that down.
Yeah, but no, he was super nice. Nerdy, weird kid.
Yeah.
Very kind. Wanted to take me to my favorite restaurant. Takari Tsunami. Never replied to him. I'm sorry.
Well,
Looking back.
if there's
But-
one thing we know, it's EG hates nerds. Okay.
No, I don't. But let me tell you, he would access the dark web during study hall, but he would carry on these laptops because he'd just have to burn them afterwards. But he'd poke around and be like, yeah, you can buy a spleen, and.
And what
onion.
Russian defense school were you attending at the time?
Bro, EG was at the Ruska Roma Ballet.
My gosh. You terrify me. Okay.
But yes, that is a thing. Most of those kinds of pages are fake, but there are marketplaces and stuff you can access.
Onion, right?
But bottom line for that sort of stuff, for those who are curious about it, is you're not finding anything on that side of the internet without specifically looking for it.
Speaking of Talk to Me, there's one group that helps me talk.
Yeah.
That's Alabama Dental Associates. As they work on mouths, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you have a mouth and you need to make sure you give it the best care possible. I recommend the team at Alabama Dental, where they're located on Grants Mill Road. That's Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, and Dr. Nolan. No relation there to Christopher Nolan, but I still like to think that there is a chance that they have some sort of lineage. Over at Alabama Dental Associates, providing you all of those services that you need to make sure you are on top of your dental health. It's oh so important, EG, to be on top of your dental health. It is something that affects all aspects of your health, whether you have major work that needs to be done or maybe you just need to get on top of those regular cleanings. They're there for you. Over at Alabama Dental Associates. You can call and make an appointment now at 205-956-8977 or visit alabamadental.com, where they look forward to seeing you. All right, I want to get back here into the box office where we're going to round things out with the 6 through 10 spots. Sinners still holding strong, less than a 40% drop, and has officially leapfrogged Thunderbolts in the weekly rankings. This is the first time this has happened since Thunderbolts released. Thunderbolts in the number 7 spot. Friendship in the number 8 spot as it continues to add theaters but takes a quick step back there. Not nearly the amount of word of mouth on Friendship that you're seeing with something like Final Destination or something like Lilo and Stitch or something like Sinners. Friendship could really use some good word of mouth. Tyler recommends this movie very much. This is also in my sort of consideration for a movie to see maybe before Ballerina on Thursday. I want to see this one. I just don't know when I will see this one.
Yeah, the humor for this one's a little polarizing. Today during TNR, I believe it was Charles say it just wasn't for him, which
Yeah.
Fair. If you haven't seen, I think you should leave some of those sketches, and you don't like that absolutely bonkers off the wall comedy that Tim Robinson does, then you probably won't like the movie, and that's totally fine.
Friendship there lands in the 8th spot. The Last Rodeo at the 9th spot, and J-Hope Tour, Hope on the Stage to Japan live viewing, in Japan live viewing at the number 10 spot.
Yes, this would be a concert film for one of the members of BTS. So those K-pop stans showed up and brought their wallets, as they always do.
They did. Made some money there. Okay, I'm going to give one last warning that things are about to get depressing. Okay, so I'm letting everybody know.
Really sad. Okay.
It is about to get sad. But first, I'm going to tell you sort of what I'm doing with my Meltdown Countdown here. I've got my 5 best things about my beach trip.
Okay.
And then I've got my 5 worst things about my beach trip.
Okay.
So I have been given permission to share all these stories, and I'm going to be doing that. So we're going to start off with the 5 best things in a row. At number 5, no major stalls in traffic flow, which is always good when you're traveling down.
That's nice. I always hate coming back from the beach. That stretch between like Montgomery to here.
Oh,
It
sucks.
takes forever. I swear you can get down to the beach again before you get back.
I paced it out to where we had a little bit of a half day on the final day, so that way it would let some of that traffic go ahead and get up the road, and we could have a little bit more time on the vacation. So no major stalls in traffic flow, which was good. We had one stretch that was about a 12-minute bumper-to-bumper stretch on the way down, but it was due to construction, and my GPS had told me, like, hey, here's a detour that'll save you some time. And I was like, oh, GPS. I normally listen. If my GPS says drive anywhere, I normally listen to the GPS. But this time I'm like, I don't see anything up ahead. I'm good. And I should have listened to the GPS. Number 4, 5 best things that happened on the trip. Pretty good weather. And we had one little rainy spurt, but other than that,
It's a blessing.
like rain was projected on our trip, and it was nice, sunny, and it just got better every day. The weather got absolutely more incredible every single day. I did not bring my umbrella drill because I didn't bring an umbrella.
Oh.
I didn't bring an umbrella.
Cloud
And
coverage? Or
that
full
first
sun?
day, but it started to break up.
Yeah.
But we took breaks.
Yep.
Early in the morning, break, later in the day. And we were
Smart.
good.
Avoid
Lots of
the heat of the
sunscreen.
day.
My mom was a huge fan of your beach episode where you were talking about sunscreen application and all of that. She was like, oh my God, EG knows what she's talking about. And I'm like, well, I guess she does.
Did she use my practice?
Yes. So she was a big fan of that. So she was talking about how it was a really good episode. Anytime we talk about the beach, that's a big thing.
Good.
Not sure she'll feel that way after I get done with all
Okay.
this, but anyway, here we go. We're continuing on. Another great thing about the beach trip, the number 3 spot. I was able to read, which is my favorite thing to do at the beach.
Yes,
Love to read.
same.
I'm reading the Let Them Theory
Yes,
by Mel Robbins.
Love.
You've read it?
I know. I'm familiar.
Okay.
Podcast.
Well, got it. It was very popular social media thing before it became a book, and I'm reading through that, and I'm enjoying that. I mixed this with, I wasn't able to only consume that. I was also able to consume some WSOP 2025 coverage out of Vegas.
Love.
They've got live stream going. I was able to watch the 5K tournament,
Okay.
which is it was really nice to see. And it ended heads up. A player turns the straight, and the other player turned the nut flush. And so the player who had the straight earlier, he was getting bluffed and he didn't call, and it would have basically won him the tournament. And there was a big jump in pay. It was basically a difference between 500 grand and 250 grand between first and second. So one player just out-muscled the other and ended up hitting the nut flush and trapped the other player into what was a really bad cooler. And it was really dramatic. And, I love WSOP coverage out of Vegas. And it used to be they'd film it all and package it up and put it on ESPN. But now the results get out there and vloggers get out there. And there's no ESPN angle to this really anymore. So I watched it all on Poker Go on YouTube, and it was just a great time. So really got me ready for tonight there emotionally. Food, another great thing.
Good.
Okay. We ate at a pizza place called Rotolo's,
Yum.
and I went to go pick it up. It was an online order, so we did an online order. The bad part is they said it'll be about an hour until your order's ready. So I show up, and then they're like, look, our kitchen's way behind right now, and it's going to be another like 40 minutes. And there were so many angry people.
That's an awful feeling.
It's an awful feeling, but they were like, look, if you want to sit down at the bar, we'll give you as many drinks as you want to make it right. So I was like, okay. And I'm not a heavy drinker, right? But I was enjoying myself there.
That's a dangerous proposition.
It was a dangerous proposition for me, but I was enjoying myself. I was talking to some of the PTPC members, and they were, very concerned. And I was, I paced myself the right way, and everything got done. And it was a really good cheese pizza. But yeah, got a couple beers on the house there. So Rotolo's, thank you for the customer service. I'm sorry so many people yelled at y'all, and there were so many angry people. And I was not one of them. They were like, sir, are you okay? I was like, I'm on vacation. I'm good. Sip, sip, sip. Anyway. So that was good. Cobalt, I don't know if anybody's heard of this restaurant. Really great date place. We sat outside. There were nice little light bulbs that were like fluorescent. Stop, EG. I'm sorry. I'm not using the lingo, okay? But we were on the water, and there was this nice water statue design, and it was good. And I just knew I had done good. There was live music.
Yeah, that's perfect.
And there was tons of like bachelorette.
Then you know you're in the right place.
I knew I was in the right place. I was like, that looks like a table EG could be set at. That looks like a table EG could be set at. Like, that having to show up and be active in wedding participation. Yeah. I saw a lot of those people, and they were very burnt. I was like, that wouldn't be EG, but EG could fit in here. And so I know I'm at the right place. And date night was incredible.
Chat likes that restaurant. Daniel says, oh yeah, Cobalt is solid. And Hunter Bus, he says, love that place. Smuff says, Cobalt is good. Semi-fancy date night seafood.
It was
awesome.
Perfect. So I almost had to reach out and be like, hey, what's the best place down here for like a date night? And I just I'd seen all these vloggers, and they all were talking about Cobalt. So I was like, that has to be the place. And it was incredible. So really enjoyed that. I went to Doc Seafood. Now that's not a visually striking place, but it's like that shack that's been down there for eternity. And I went there twice, and it was so good. I got oysters the first time, and
how'd you
fried oysters.
Fried oysters.
Got fried oysters the first time, and I refused to do the raw oysters. So I did the fried oysters the first time, and the second time I did the shrimp. And let me tell you, I'm a huge fried oyster fan, but the shrimp were even better.
How fried, grilled, blackened?
Fried. Best fried shrimp in the entire civilized world. That's their claim to fame. And let me tell you, they're right. It's really, really good. Great service.
That's what Smuff says. Home of the best fried shrimp anywhere. So
incredible.
I'm gonna try them.
So
I went to this place that is apparently renowned for shrimp.
It was incredible for shrimp. Went twice, back-to-back days. I mean, that's how good it is. I was like, why would we not go to the best place to eat seafood 2 times in a row if we had given the opportunity? Why? We're not trying to diversify our portfolio. We're trying to get the best food.
If it works, it works.
If it works, it works. So we went to Doc's twice. Incredible. And then on the way back, I'm saying this legitimately, they are a sponsor on the next round, but went to Champy's Fried Chicken on the way back in Alabaster.
I mean, if you're in town, you got to stop there.
Incredible.
So
I would go there more often if I was on that side of town.
I love the potato salad. My wife and mom were both like, we should get an order of the tamales, but
so good.
They missed the sort of window to do that by, not thinking. They were like, well, we should have, anyway, they had some regret. So they want to go back and get the tamales, but my mom got the fried chicken. I got the fried chicken sandwich. My wife got the fried chicken tender po' boy. My daughter got the chicken tenders, and we had not eaten all inside there as a family. They've catered up here a couple of times, but I typically don't eat at Champy's before Thompson football games because it's just a heavy meal.
Yeah.
And I got to kind of be in the zone, and they cater up there. So, it's one of those things where it just hadn't been that perfect timing to sneak in there, but really great time there in Alabaster at Champy's Fried Chicken. So, I sent Jim a photo of the sign and us being there. So that was very exciting. And to go see Sterling and the crew, I believe he loves it when you show up and high five him and say that the Meltdown or TNR sent you.
I believe he does.
Yeah.
Sterling's not just a friend of the show, he's family.
That is correct. Speaking of family, I went and saw Lilo and Stitch and down at the beach. And let me tell you, I am so angry that I fell into this trap and didn't take Tyler more seriously. I bawled the entire time. I cried the entire time in Lilo and Stitch.
I told you there were people
I
cutting
know.
onions.
I know. I'm a 7-foot monster, bearded monster in Lilo and Stitch, bawling my eyes out the entire
Really?
time. I cried the whole time. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Do I need to get my estrogen levels checked? Like, legitimately. I was sobbing.
No,
Okay.
and it's at parts you won't expect to start
Yeah.
welling up
Is this
at
on
either.
your good or bad list?
This is on my good list. This was like a nice, surprising cry. It was a good cry. It was like a, I've been reading some Mel Robbins at the beach, and I want a good theater cry. A good theater cry is not a bad thing, okay? Now, other people would be too ashamed to admit that they theater cry. I'm not that person. If something makes me emotional, I'm going to go for it. My wife was also bawling, which made me cry harder because she's crying. She's crying. She saw a glimmer of tear in my eye. She started to really cry. I started to cry even more. I hadn't gotten enough napkins. We were trying to disperse. And every time we thought the crying was over,
It just came back.
no, there was more crying scenes. And I'm like, we're out of napkins. I don't know what to do. And my daughter's looking at us like, what is wrong with you? And my mom is really looking at us like, what is this E.T. ripoff doing to you guys? She has no affinity for
Why
Lilo
are
and
you
Stitch.
crying about
Why are you
a
crying?
blue alien that barely talks?
My gosh, I cried my eyes out during that movie. So anyway, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Lilo and Stitch made me emotional. Sue me.
Sue me.
There we go.
Good.
Okay, now it's time to get into the 5 worst things.
I've been on the edge of my seat waiting for this.
Horrible, 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 horrible.
right.
Giving everybody a disclaimer here. This is your chance. If you want to go ahead,
Be
this is where
free.
you want to dock the boat, get off and go, and goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow because it's about to get depressing. So here we go. Number 5, the shower pressure in our condo.
Awful.
It wasn't awful on the weak side. It was awful on the gonna rip your flesh off side.
Oh no!
Oh, see, I don't
See,
mind that.
I like harder water pressure, but I have been in hotels and condos where you've got to like do this little dance getting in the shower,
see, I'm
so
okay
you
with
don't
that.
get hit with a shotgun blast.
We like extreme water pressure.
Me too.
But this was torturous. And the problem is I would like get in the ocean the following day or something, and I would start all the whelps that I had from the shower pressure. The salt would just go, blah, and it just like,
Gave you welts?
yeah, I mean, it was intense. The shower pressure was like very intense. I mean, it was rough. I thought about taking a bath.
He may be a giant, but he's delicate.
Yeah, I mean, it was painful in all parts of my body, and I got in the ocean, and I was reminded of where I was really hurting, and so that was bad. Shower pressure was bad. Bed firmness, also bad. It was the exact opposite. It was like my mom said in her bed, it was like sleeping in mud. It was like I would get on there, and I would just, it's like being in quicksand, and I couldn't get comfortable.
I do not like a soft bed.
I would sleep for hours on end and would wake up totally unrested because the bed was way too soft. And I'm a giant. So, I mean, I feel like that scene from Get Out where it's just like,
You're going into the sunken place.
right.
But it's just the divot in the mattress.
right. And there, she's drinking her tea and I just kept falling. So the bed firmness was bad. Those are a mixture. Okay. Move on to number 4. I find a note on my truck.
Oh, no.
I found a note on my truck that says, hey, just so you know, you're about to be booted or towed. I got an Airbnb and they did not mention in any of the instructions, which I read 5-6 times, that I needed a parking pass in order to be able to park in this condominium lot. Now, should I have known that? Probably so.
But,
But I didn't-
No, I wouldn't have
no.
assumed
But
that either.
it was never in the actual written stuff. Now, had they left me a folder with parking passes
That's
in
what
it
I'm
that I
saying.
hadn't seen? Yes, 100%.
Oh,
so
so
I
they were
take a lot of
inside.
blame. I take a lot of the blame here. But it was immediately like you're about to be booted or towed. And I was like, whoa. And this was like day 2. And I'm like, whoa. I got to solve this. So ended up finding the parking passes, put it in. But it was terrifying. It was, when someone leaves a note on your car saying you're about to be towed. And I have a tow anxiety. Like not an actual tow, but like a tow, like your vehicle's going to get towed. Because I got towed at a charity event I was working one time. And I ended up under a bridge trying to negotiate my vehicle back. And I thought it had been stolen. And it was awful.
Did you see Spud?
Did not see Spud.
Train and trivia?
I believe Hunter Bussey was there. But no, it was awful. So there was the tow truck boot threatening, which caused me severe anxiety, tow anxiety. I have tow anxiety. Okay, we move on to number 3. There was one place I shall not name where I got a bad batch of oysters.
Oh, no.
My mother had asked, like, hey, how are the oysters? And she's like, oh, they're incredible. They're medium sized and they're perfect and they're really good this time of year and all this stuff. It was not any of the places I'd mentioned, obviously, but we got some bad oysters. And
What did this place start with?
I can't go into that. I'm not going to name the place.
All right.
But it's one of my favorite places to eat at the beach.
no.
One of my absolute favorite, maybe my favorite up until this trip. Got some bad oysters. It's in the middle of the night. I'm laying in my muddy quicksand bed.
No.
And I'm laying there, and in my dream, I'm choking. Because in reality, I was choking.
Because you're throwing up.
And it was all acid. All acid.
Oh, that's the worst.
And all I could think about was all the people in our chat that gave me all this business about talking about acid reflux and stuff, which I understand fully now how awful that is.
Wait.
Yeah, you said General Grievous had acid reflux.
Right. And
I
General
thought it was
Grievous,
hilarious because that's exactly what it feels
General
like.
Grievous came back and he got me good. And I am choking in the middle of the night, right? My wife, does she move? No. She's just, she's just like, what is happening? And I'm dying. I'm loud. Like as if I'm being attacked by little, spicy ninjas or something. And it was bad. I ended up going to the bathroom and I'm trying to like cough it up, but what happened is it had come up and gone back down another pipe. So everything was burning the way down. Oh, it was so bad. It was awful. And I was crying, worse than in Lilo and Stitch. And I could not get comfortable. It was awful. And I got some bad oysters. And the bad oysters, they wrecked me. They wrecked my mom. We had a horrible time eating these oysters, and I really regret it. And it's really kind of turned me off on oysters altogether.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Don't want them again.
Yeah, it'll take a couple years.
Yeah. So anyway, that was
decades.
bad.
Especially if they were raw when you...
Yeah.
You had raw oysters?
No, they weren't raw. They were fried.
Okay, I was about to say if they were raw, that might be even weirder.
That was the third worst thing that happened to me. Okay. Second worst thing that happened to me. Second worst thing. Okay. My daughter has never really gone in the ocean before. Okay.
Gosh.
And I'm trying to teach her, like she's gone up to there and she's, just gone to where it meets the shore. But she was like full-fledged in the ocean for the first 3 days.
Okay.
And everything's going well. And I put on shark documentaries at the condo, which is probably kind of cruel, but in the same sense, I'm trying to give her awareness of her surroundings because she was getting too comfortable out there.
That'll happen.
So I wanted her aware, like, hey, you need to be on the lookout because, you never know what can happen. And when I would walk in, I'd always be looking around. She's like, why are you looking around? You're freaking me out. Well, anyway, we were out at the ocean and she starts screaming that something's on her legs. And I'm like, it's just seaweed. There's right. Seaweed there at the beginning. I was like, it's just seaweed. And she's like, no, it's hurting. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm on a giant donut float because,
naturally.
I can't get out of it. Okay. I can't get out of it. I'm stuck in it. So she's screaming something is attacking her. And I, as a father, physics are working against me.
Like a turtle on its back.
I'm literally
trying to get out of this float.
I'm like, I'm trying to reach for her. And I end up grabbing her and pulling her out of the water. And I'm calling my wife to come get her. But I'm in this donut float and people on the beach, they're just eating it up.
Out.
No, not this moment. But like when I'm on my donut float, people are like, look at him. He looks crazy. It's like Ush. The way he comments about my appearance constantly is like those people on the beach. Yeah. Those pretentious people who constantly want to point and go, ha ha, even though they've got giant melons. Anyway, the point I'm getting to is this. I could barely render aid, but I pulled her out of the water like a hero does and handed her off to my wife, and a jellyfish had got her. Maybe multiple jellyfish. And I don't know if you've ever had a jellyfish sting,
it's brutal.
But it was bad, and she was screaming and crying, and there's nothing worse than your kid like in distress, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's awful. And so we get up to the place where you hose off your feet for the sand, and it's making it worse. And then I'm like, let me quickly go into dad mode. I run up to the condo. And I jump in the shower and I immediately forget about the water pressure. So it rips half of my face off. I have to pick up half of my face, put it back on. Oh, no. And then I run to CVS. I get vinegar and spray and all this stuff. Anyway, we went into action and she ended up being okay after a night of, but we gave her Benadryl and all that stuff. So she's okay. So I thought that was going to be the worst thing on the trip. This is the worst thing. And this is where it gets really sad. So I'm just letting everybody know. So we're at Champy's. This is nothing to do with the Champy's establishment because they're wonderful, but we're at Champy's and my mom gets a phone call that her dog that she boarded is having like a panic attack, like a nervous anxiety attack.
Oh no.
And look, we've talked about Marley and Me on this show a lot and how awful it is. Where at the end of the trip, I'm trying to do one last thing that's fun, and they're like, look, you need to get over here as quickly as you can because the dog's kind of, having an anxious attack. So we're going we're trying to coordinate it, and we're going back to town, and we're like 45 minutes out. We're going back to town, and then we get a call that they're having to transport the dog to a emergency hospital because the dog is becoming unresponsive and the temperature spiking and all this stuff. So it's just like horrible. So the hospital is 40 minutes where we just were. So we have to drop off my wife and child. We drive 40 minutes back to where we already were, and we get to the hospital, and, my mom was in this horrible situation where she was being told, like, hey, in order to treat the dog, you're going to have to go through a series of events that are not in any way guaranteed for success. And the dog was basically was gone, and she had to make the tough decision to put the dog down.
Oh.
And there's nothing worse than, you have your dog and you have that relationship and you put them up to go on a vacation, which this whole vacation was for her anyway, because, her and my dad, their favorite thing to do in the world is go to the beach. We lost my dad about a year and a half ago, and the goal was to get my mom to the beach because that was their goal, to get to the beach. So, for her to come back and have another loss that was tragic was really tough. We were there late last night, and she was able to say goodbye, and it was very emotional, and she's doing it. And we're in this room with all these doctors and nurses and all these other dogs, and it's just like this whirlwind of awfulness. Not the way you want to end a trip. So what was meant to be sort of like a break from reality, which is what every beach trip should be, ended up being a horrible, horrible situation. So anyway, super depressing, and that's how that trip ended up. So really awful. And unfortunately, there's nothing that could really be done that made any sense other than to give the dog a humane end, but totally unexpected when you are set to go on a vacation and do that. So she actually asked me to share the story because I think she's always found it to be very healing that, being able to find comfort in making sure that, people don't take their animals for granted.
Yeah.
And, maybe go home, give that dog an extra big hug today, and extra pat, and extra bone, extra good boy, whatever. But really tough situation there. And so we've got to now eventually down the line plan some other trip to try to forget about this trip. All the other stuff is a little trivial, and the jellyfish thing was scary, and I thought it would be the worst thing. But the dog thing was totally unexpected and really, really awful. So prayers up for my mom. But yeah, she's dealing with that less than 24 hours later here.
I know some local Old English Bulldog breeders. They're fantastic dogs, great couch companions. So if you're in the market, I can give you some names.
I appreciate that, Tyler, very much. Look, we're a pretty transparent show here. When things are going good, we're going to tell you about it. When things take a little bit of a turn, as long as, it's under the right parameters, we're going to talk about it. But yeah, that was a super, super depressing way to end the trip. But overall, cherish the ones you love. If there's one thing Mel Robbins taught me in the let them go theory, or just let them theory. Let me make sure I got that right. The just let them theory. It's that, life is like a melting ice cube, and, we can try the hardest we can to try to keep it from melting, but we're all sort of, losing time with one another. So enjoy it, be kind to somebody, use this story as a way to hopefully propel yourself into some sort of more optimistic gathering, and which we'll be having tonight. I've never needed the poker club more than tonight.
Amen.
Last night was super stressful and very traumatic, and tonight it'll be fun to meet up with the whole gang and play some cards. So find a group that you find that you cherish, and I hope that this place can be that for you. I hope that every day you can join here, get in the chat. So many of you have become friends through the chat, which makes me super happy. And I really want to help build this community all throughout the summer. So let's go see some movies. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good chat. But I just appreciate you listening there to what is a super depressing story. And, once again, it makes me hate the movie Marley and Me. That's going to do it for us here on the show today. I've got to go see a movie right now, which I'm sure is going to be very traumatic and bring her back. So we will see how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you need to switch to friendship today. If I had known what happened, I wouldn't have suggested that depressing movie.
I'm in the right space for it. There's nothing that I
fair
can
enough.
see today that will be more traumatic than what I saw yesterday. So
That is very true.
yeah. So I'm going to go check out that movie, and I'll give you my thoughts tomorrow here on the show. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and we will see you again very soon on The Meltdown, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, all week long. Take care, guys.